This is my presentation on obesity prevalence. My research focuses on the American obesity epidemic, a crisis often framed as a personal failing, which this is a nationwide pandemic across the whole United States. It comes from more than just an individual effort, it comes from structural roots. To understand this issue, we need to look at the data, which, according to these sources, more than 2 in 5 adults at 42.4% currently live with obesity today. This isn't just a matter of fitness and eating habits, like I said, but these habits can be linked to type 2 diabetes, heart diseases, and strokes. In fact, research suggests that 14% of all deaths in the United States each year happen because of obesity. I chose this topic because we made a goal for Healthy People 2030 at 36% obesity. That's a 10% decrease. And to help spread this issue, we need to be all aware about this, not just individual habits, but to people that are vulnerable. When I began this essay, I viewed obesity as an individual choice problem, especially me. I thought the amount of food I consumed and the level of physical activity I do determines obesity. But after researching, it shifted my perspective, and I learned that health behaviors are not isolated choices, but they are rooted within individual social environments. This includes different physical spaces of the neighborhoods and communities where it characterizes others. I moved from a perspective of blaming someone and analyzing the place instead. This is realizing that the social milieu determines the individual's place and time to obesity over time. The central problem I explored is why certain socio-demographic groups are disproportionate. The national average of obesity in different communities is very, very shocking. Nearly 1.5 Hispanic Black adults, which nearly 49.6%, and Hispanic adults at 44.8% live with obesity. That's almost 1 in 2. The disparity is way different with among women too. More than half of non-Hispanic Black women at 56.9, that's more than half, are affected. So add on, we are seeing more and more as obesity has plateaued in the recent years. Severe obesity has not, which has jumped from 7.7 to 9.7 over the last decade. The research asks why these disparities persist in public health. And this is because the individual mentality, where we are ignoring the social factors and how others live their experiences. Everyone lives their life differently, and that's the way obesity works as well. My initial thesis was very simple. I thought poor nutrition leads to obesity, but the evidence led me to much more complex conclusion. My developed thesis is now about the geographic and social positions of the primary determinants of obesity levels in the United States. This is supported by the residents in the neighborhoods that where at least 1/4 of the residents are black and they face a 13% increase in the odds of being obese. This is alone just being in a neighborhood where it's less privileged. Regardless of their personal income or education, they could have a high school diploma or a bachelor's degree, it doesn't matter. This suggests that there is a huge disadvantage, and this is defined by the low wealth, power, and the prestige. And this means people are privileged. This means that it limits their life of chances for good health in these communities. I asked a critical question to myself, and is that we have a good primary tool, which is body mass index. I believe this is a great tool, but it's not enough. We need to see how BMI is because it's very limited. Although it's a very good tool to use to find your body mass index, it doesn't find body fat directly and it can't measure the muscle mass and the fat. Studies show while non Hispanic black men are more likely to be classified by the obese of BMI, non Hispanic white men have significantly higher, more abdominal obesity, which is measured by waist circumference. And this is very big because visceral fat, which is around the organs, is the actual contributor to the cardiovascular and metabolic diseases. And this taught me that our standardized metrics might be overestimating some risks or underestimating due to our different body conditions. These differences can be vital, and missing these can lead to obesity. Handling opposing views. The opposing views that other people have are food intake, exercise, and their activity choices. Although these might be great factors for obesity, I believe that wealthiness, racial disparities, and food costs are the main primary reasons that obesity is happening. Opposing views argue that it's a matter of individual energy imbalance, which BMI is a very good tool for that, and it's very simple. I handle this by conceding individual behaviors, which is the primary reason why of weight gain. Using collimative risk is a good idea, which can account for unsafe neighborhoods, financial trouble, and family structures, which research has found that black females that accumulate social risk explain the disparity entirely. And once the gap is there, it proves that choice is just luxury. Many people have the luxury of getting their desserts where they have it their access right to their hands, but other communities might be unprivileged and not be able to order these things from grocery stores. National obesity has been a big problem, but how can we find the solution? I believe there's three ways we can solve this. First, we can prioritize the structural environmental reformation, which is according to many resources that health can be inaccessible or ineffective in certain areas. This can be fixed by helping the place ensure that neighborhoods have grocery stores or safe places just for exercise, or we can just order groceries in a safe place. Second, we have social risks, which, again, neighborhood safety. And to add on, there's financial stability. And racial gaps often prevent this. There's often economic separation, which reduces the amount of grocery stores we have or safe areas we have to exercise. Third, we need to introduce clinical metrics, which more than just BMI, body mass index. We need to focus on things like waist circumference and the focusing on visceral fat, which is the actual contributor for chronic diseases in the United States. Solving these three things could help our health program be more affordable, more diverse, and more metrically bigger. And we can help solve obesity from these three problems. To conclude, my research demonstrates that we must stop treating obesity as an individual failure and start treating it as a structural one. The goal for Healthy People 2030 target is on the rise, and severe obesity is only helping us lose that goal. We need to focus on structural environmental reformation, which is the main problem. We focus on individual lifestyles too much, and these strategies are humongous risks. Health programs must be focusing on affordable, accessible, and more adaptable environments. My final reflection is that if we do not fix the place, the person cannot be healed. And we need to focus on this by focusing on the geography and the neighborhoods that connect us together and not separate us.